there have been constant claims from New Yorkers and whining about crime, basically. And it's usually from really wealthy people. If you guys saw that unhinged Andy Cohen rant on New Year's Eve about how the worst mayor is finally leaving the city, that's pretty much what you get when you talk to wealthy New Yorkers about de Blasio versus Eric Adams. There's no specifics whatsoever. There's just a sense that crime is really out of control. And then like what you follow up, what's the next thing he did that you don't like? That's basically it. But Eric Adams believes that pushing a tough on crime stance is going to be his bread and butter as the mayor of New York. So much so that he's kind of fudging the numbers. Well, not fudging the numbers, but at the very least fudging the graph.
No, this is fudging the numbers.
Okay, look at this. Look, if you guys can see this, look at this graph.
Major and violent crime has increased. And
right.
Yes. So now.
So they show that in between 2017 and 2021, major and violent crime has increased. And that orange bar, it looks huge. It looks massive.
It is literally double the size of any of the other.
Right. I mean, wow.
So it looks like we've had like just eyeballing this from a distance away, it'd see a 250% increase in violent crime. Is that what this shows?
If you look really closely at the fine print, in fact, it does not. This was pointed out by Brad Lander on Twitter. 7.5% of an increase between 2017 and 2021. That is because of the pandemic, basically.
Yeah, like that's the thing is like people say the left doesn't care about, you know, this sort of stuff. And like I'll say like I know. Oh, so let me cut back to Emma away from our screen there. Like if you know people that work retail, like there is a change that's happened during the pandemic because people are a little bit more desperate. So you see a lot more stuff of people trying to get through checkout lines and, oh, I guess like maybe we'll try to sneak some stuff in the cart or maybe just try to walk through stuff and it's often stuff like diapers and it's horrible. And it is a crime that we've left people to such desperate like measures for this stuff. And like, sure, there might be certain technological things like people can move this merchandise that they steal better. And that's leading to some of like the higher profile things that you're seeing. But guess what? There's a supply and demand side of this thing. And maybe this on the technology on the supply side is made easier, but there's also a demand side where people need to buy detergent for cheaper than they have it at the main stores. And what does that say about what we're doing to folks? As we have Jen Psaki saying, like, we don't want to incentivize people to sit at home. We want them to get back to work and basically serve the economy. Like this is the price you have to pay.
Yes, because people, as you say, people are increasingly desperate. And so, to be fair, Matt, here, Eric Adams, despite the misleading chart that seems to show that violent and major crime has increased by 1,000,000% when it's 7.5% over 4 years, maybe it's different when it comes to petty crime. Just kidding. Judd Legum of Popular Information, which is a great newsletter, crunched the numbers a few days ago on this. According to the data, there is a modest rise in reported shoplifting incidents compared to the year before the pandemic began. There were 3,718 complaints of retail thefts citywide in 2019 and 43,864 such complaints in 2021, an increase of about 15%. But complaints are not a perfect measure of crime trends because not all thefts are reported. Fine. But it's a 15% increase in shoplifting over that period of time, which that period of time tracks entirely with an increase in precarity, a desperation due to the pandemic, people losing their jobs, people unable to work or maybe having to leave their jobs because they have to take care of their kids who are at home, or their workplace is unsafe. I mean, that is exactly what happens when we're in a dire economic situation. So there is no reason to panic. And yet, it seems like for Eric Adams, it's actually quite beneficial to create a panic and ride that wave, which is why we see that misrepresentation of data.
I mean, it was a big wave to ride in the 90s. And I think you will see the Democrat especially like the ones who are rooting for Eric Adams in this, return to a playbook like that before they go to some like more radical measures that might actually like address the root causes of this sort of stuff.
And we should also say that Eric Adams did just propose his $98 billion budget, 0 cuts to the NYPD. So everybody who said that Derek, we had national Democrats saying Nancy Pelosi, people like that, Chauvin's conviction, it was a historic moment. Well, the fact that it was important.
Yeah, about you
that
guys
he got convicted, right? It was a historic moment for you because now you don't have to worry about any systemic change. And then we're also seeing this here in New York, of course. All right, we have to take a quick break, and when we come back, we will be joined by James Kilgore.